We are about to see something that could change things up a lot.
Blake Lively is freaking out after the judge finally decided to openly question her entire lawsuit. Her legal case is falling apart fast as Daily Mail reporter James Vushka flips, exposing Leslee Sloan's shady smear campaign against Justin Baldoni.
There's evidence that Leslee Sloan started a smear campaign against Justin Baldoni.
Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds is busy bragging on Time covers while Blake hides.
She's dead quiet. Someone that's not quiet is her husband, Ryan Reynolds.
Blake Lively's legal disaster just completely blew up in her face because honestly, it's turning into the most hilarious court meltdown I've seen in years. I mean, this woman really thought she could just march into the legal system, flash her Hollywood smile, throw around some paperwork, and steamroll everyone. But clearly, Magistrate Judge Steve Kim wasn't falling for the act. Finally, a judge with functioning brain cells.
And this reporter from the Daily Mail that now there's big rumors that he's going to withdraw his sworn statements.
Blake's latest genius move? She filed a motion to compel Wayfair parties to hand over documents like she's running the courtroom. Except, here's the thing. The judge absolutely humiliated her by denying it. And not just denying it, he literally mocked her. You could practically hear the sarcasm dripping off his ruling. He called her demands unripe, which is basically a fancy legal way of saying, "Sit down, Blake. This isn't your Instagram story. It's a courtroom." What's even funnier is Blake's desperation in this whole mess. Her team wanted those documents within 10 days, like she was ordering overnight shipping from Amazon. But the joke's on her because the respondents had already agreed to produce everything by July 1st, 2025. So her big dramatic court stunt made her look desperate, impatient, and honestly clueless. And here's where Blake's sloppiness really starts shining through. She actually filed the same motion in California and New York at the same time. Imagine being so disorganized and panicked that you start throwing legal filings like confetti at 2 different courts, hoping one of them sticks. It's beyond embarrassing. But of course, the California judge wasn't playing her game either. He flat out refused to transfer her case back to New York, basically telling her that she doesn't even understand jurisdiction rules. So Blake's entire legal team just exposed how messy, contradictory, and poorly thought out this whole thing really is. But it gets better because Judge Kim's order dragged her even harder. He straight up pointed out how Blake exaggerated delays, twisted the facts, and tried to manipulate deadlines to gain an advantage. Classic Blake, twisting reality, spinning her own little fairy tale, and hoping the courts will fall for it like the tabloids do. They're not amused. But trust me, this legal circus doesn't stop there. You know what's even messier than Blake's legal filings? The so-called evidence she's building her case on. This is where it goes from funny to downright pathetic. Her entire case is hanging by a thread thanks to documents she got from Jones Works. But shockingly, or not so shockingly if you've been following her antics, these documents are missing the most basic thing courts care about: metadata. For those who don't live in courtrooms, metadata is the digital fingerprint of any document. It shows when it was created, when it was changed, where it came from, basically how you prove it's legit. But Blake? She rolled into court with documents that have 0 verifiable metadata. You cannot make this up. Missing metadata means the documents can't be authenticated. The courts literally have no way of knowing if this stuff is real or if Blake and her team just whipped up some Word docs in their kitchen after a wine night. It raises huge suspicions of evidence tampering, and Wayfair's legal team is all over it, ready to rip this apart. And here's where Blake's story really starts to unravel, because if those missing metadata fields ever showed that she got these documents before the official subpoena in October 2024, she's cooked. That would mean she illegally acquired evidence. The same Blake Lively who acts like she's above it all, suddenly looking like the queen of backdoor deals and sneaky tactics. Of course, Blake has an excuse ready, because she always does. She's blaming Jones Works, saying they handed her incomplete, unverified data. Classic Blake, Never her fault, always someone else's problem. But the judges aren't buying her deflections anymore, and honestly, neither is anyone else. Now, you might be thinking, how does someone this messy, this disorganized, and this careless think they're gonna come out of this looking like the victim? Well, that's where her next brainchild comes in, Vanzen Inc. Yeah, Blake's little shell company that's now under fire for being one of the sloppiest cover-ups Hollywood has ever seen. Let me break it down for you. Vanzen Inc. allegedly filed a completely fake lawsuit, not to actually win anything, but just to seize phones and private data from the people Blake's beefing with. And the second they got what they wanted, poof, the case vanished. They dropped the lawsuit like it never existed. Imagine being so bold that you abuse the court system like it's some TikTok challenge. But Vanzen's stunt didn't end there. They were ordered to hand over documents exposing the true shareholders of the company by June 24th, 2025. And what did they do? Nothing. Radio silence. They missed the deadline completely, fueling even more speculation that Vanzen is nothing more than a Reynolds Lively puppet company designed to hide their dirty work. And I know what you're thinking, it can't get worse. But oh, it does. Jennifer Abel's legal team is convinced that Vanzen was used as a front to run the smear campaign against Wayfair and to sidestep proper discovery rules. Meaning, Blake set up this fake company to skirt around the legal process and play puppet master from the shadows. Wayfair's lawyers, to their credit, aren't letting this slide. They're demanding shareholder lists, organizational charts, and communications. All the stuff that would prove Blake's been orchestrating this whole mess behind closed doors. But shocker, Blake's team is stonewalling. They refuse to hand over the receipts, making it look even more suspicious. And here's the smoking gun. Those missing Vanzen documents could prove Blake coordinated with Jones Works and PR firms to run a full-blown character assassination plot. So not only does it look like Blake's been manipulating evidence, dodging subpoenas, and filing fake lawsuits, but now there's a paper trail that could connect all of this back to her directly. At this point, her legal strategy is so sloppy it's honestly laughable. She's trying to play legal chess, but she's stuck in checkers mode, tripping over her own contradictions and leaving behind a trail of legal disasters for the world to see. And the best part? The judges aren't falling for it. The courts aren't dazzled by her Hollywood persona. They see the games, the manipulation, the desperate attempts to twist facts, and they're calling her out on every single one. Blake's whole carefully crafted image, the relatable, charming girl next door with the perfect life and perfect marriage, is cracking under the weight of this legal disaster. The shell companies, the missing metadata, the fake lawsuits, the courtroom stunts, it's all adding up to one giant humiliating meltdown. And I don't know about you, but watching her unravel like this, it's better than Netflix. Blake Lively's little PR fairy tale completely falls apart and turns into pure courtroom comedy. Let's talk about how one Daily Mail reporter, James Vushka, just casually lit a match and might burn Blake's entire smear campaign to the ground. You can't even make this stuff up. Hollywood writers couldn't script a messier downfall if they tried. So, James Vushka, remember the name because this guy is now center stage in the most embarrassing plot twist of Blake's meltdown. This was the Daily Mail reporter who originally signed a sworn statement trying to downplay Leslee Sloan's role in the whole disaster. You know, Leslee Sloan, Blake's ride-or-die PR fixer who has basically turned lying into a full-time career. But the problem for Blake is, Vushka's story is now flipping harder than Blake's credibility. Here's where it gets juicy. Vushka fired the lawyers the Daily Mail handed him, the same in-house attorneys probably whispering in his ear to protect the narrative. And instead, this guy went full panic mode and hired a criminal defense attorney. Yes, you heard that right. A criminal defense attorney. You don't bring in the big guns like that unless you're facing serious legal heat. Think perjury, obstruction of justice, the whole 9 yards. You gotta ask yourself, why would a simple journalist who claims he was just reporting suddenly need a criminal defense lawyer? Because clearly, he's realized this isn't just messy, it's potentially illegal. And honestly, Watching Blake's camp scramble over this is more entertaining than anything Netflix has dropped this year. But wait, the receipts get better. Text messages have surfaced showing Vushka called Leslee Sloan a liar. Let that sink in. Publicly, he submitted a sworn statement claiming she never fed him dirt about Justin Baldoni. But in private, he's literally texting people calling Sloan a liar. The contradictions are so bad, even Blake's legal team has probably given up trying to untangle this disaster. You just know her PR machine is sweating bullets trying to clean this up while still acting like they're running the show. Now, let's not forget the article that Vushka himself wrote in August 2024, where he labeled Justin Baldoni as chauvinistic and abusive on set. That piece basically fueled the entire smear campaign Blake's been pushing. But insiders, the same ones Blake probably thought would stay silent, now suspect Leslee Sloan was the real source feeding him that garbage. It's PR manipulation at its finest, and Vushka is finally cracking under the weight of the lies. The real kicker? Vushka's been granted whistleblower protection. You know it's bad when your star witness flips sides and gets legal immunity to start telling the truth. That alone is enough to turn Blake's carefully staged narrative upside down. She thought she could run the show, control the headlines, and silence anyone questioning her. But now, her own players are bailing ship, and the house of cards is crashing down.
And it's crazy. Apparently, the Daily Mail reporter has been granted whistleblower status. So I'm just going to explain again quickly what happened here. So James signs a sworn statement to the judge saying that it was all a misunderstanding, the communication that he had with Leslee Sloan.
But of course, while Blake's PR empire burns, Justin Baldoni isn't sitting around playing the victim. No, he's coming in swinging, ready to fight this legal circus with everything he's got. His $400 million defamation suit may have been dismissed, but that man is far from done. His lawyer, Brian Friedman, already hinted there's more coming, and Blake should be shaking in those overpriced designer heels. Even legal experts are calling foul on how this was handled. Judge Liz, a retired judge turned YouTube analyst with a no BS attitude, straight up slammed the dismissal as unconstitutional under California law. She basically called out the court for bending over backward to protect false accusers like Blake, while silencing the real victims. And honestly, when even retired judges on YouTube are roasting Blake, you know it's bad. Baldoni's legal team isn't backing down either. They're calling out how the courts are essentially gagging victims of false accusations, giving lively free rein to smear, manipulate, and play the victim without consequences. And here's the twist. Even though appeals are hard to win, with only 8 to 12% success rates, Baldoni's going for it. Because at this point, exposing Blake's smear tactics is bigger than just courtroom victories. It's about dragging the truth into the spotlight. And Brian Friedman isn't new to this game. This is the same lawyer who went after the New York Times for $250 million, showing he's more than willing to use lawsuits as a spotlight. He knows exactly how to weaponize litigation to peel back the PR layers and show the world the shady underbelly of Lively's empire. And you better believe, if this appeal goes through, it's going to expose texts, emails, metadata, all the receipts Blake's been scrambling to hide. But let's get to the best part of this entire train wreck, Blake herself. Because when it came time to actually back up her nonsense with real answers, she ghosted. Blake Lively, queen of playing the perfect public image, skipped her deposition scheduled just 2 days ago. She didn't show up, vanished like that sham lawsuit her puppet company Vanzan Inc. dropped when things got too hot.
Blake Lively did not show up at the deposition that was planned with Brian Friedman 2 days ago. I don't know what her deal is, why she didn't show up.
And it's not just a bad look, it's a complete disaster for her credibility. Depositions are due by August 14th, 2025. That's not a suggestion, it's a legal requirement. Skipping them isn't just sketchy, it screams that Blake is hiding something. And honestly, it's hilarious watching her PR machine spin this while she ducks legal accountability.
And what I've heard is that all depositions must be in by August 14th.
What makes this even funnier is how loud she was the last time things went her way. Remember when Baldoni's earlier lawsuit got dismissed? Blake couldn't wait to hop on Instagram, playing the victim-turned-hero, posting cryptic stories, celebrating like she won an Oscar for her performance. But now, radio silence. Dead quiet. Not a peep from her. Suddenly, Miss Strong Independent Woman can't even show up when the court calls. But don't worry, Ryan Reynolds is still out here trying to mop up the mess. His PR team is running around, plastering his face on magazine covers, pushing the narrative that they're this untouchable Hollywood power couple. Meanwhile, Blake's hiding behind the scenes, dodging depositions like the truth is her worst nightmare. Skipping out on legal obligations isn't just embarrassing, it's practically waving a red flag saying, "I've got skeletons in the closet." It opens the door for sanctions, legal penalties, and invites more public backlash. And Blake's team knows it. That's why they're trying so hard to bury this while the world's watching her empire crumble in real time. The difference is, the court doesn't care how pretty your Instagram grid looks or how curated your interviews are. Judges care about facts, evidence, and truth. And right now, Blake Lively is running from all three. From Vushka flipping, to Baldoni's legal counterpunch, to her own courtroom vanishing act, the walls are closing in. Her fairy tale is falling apart, and no PR stunt, no smug Instagram story, and no hidden shell company is going to clean this mess up. The truth is catching up to Blake Lively, and honestly, it's about time. All right, now this is where the circus officially leaves the station and somehow gets even more ridiculous. We've roasted Blake Lively for the PR disasters, fake lawsuits, botched evidence, and hiding from depositions. But now, it's time to drag Ryan Reynolds into the mess, because let's be real, this man is not just a spectator. He's front row, center stage, and practically selling popcorn while his wife's entire reputation goes up in flames. Ryan Reynolds has officially entered the chat with his usual smug PR antics, plastering his company Maximum Effort all over the Time 100 cover, like he's the most selfless, inspiring businessman on the planet. The timing couldn't be more desperate. His wife is drowning in legal drama, getting called out by judges, flipping witnesses, and tanking her brand, and there's Ryan grinning on magazine covers, pretending nothing's happening. It's actually hilarious how hard they're both clinging to their fake golden couple image while the public isn't buying it for a second. And let's talk about the hypocrisy, because Ryan went on this whole self-righteous interview tour, preaching about accountability like he's some moral authority. Accountability? From the guy married to Blake Lively, the queen of dodging subpoenas and filing sham lawsuits? Please. The only thing Ryan's holding accountable is the damage control team working overtime to keep their PR house of cards from collapsing. But here's the best part. While Blake hides, Ryan's out here bragging that all this scandal has actually given his business more visibility. Imagine profiting off your wife's legal disaster while pretending you're above the drama. That's next level shameless. It's like watching someone light their own house on fire just so they can post about how bright the flames are on Instagram. And the contradictions just keep piling up. Ryan's out here claiming that public opinion is meaningless to him. Meanwhile, the moment backlash hits, he's shutting down comment sections, deleting criticism, and carefully curating every piece of media that comes out. For someone who doesn't care what people think, he sure spends a lot of time manipulating the optics. It's giving insecure high schooler energy, not confident billionaire businessman. And you know the public isn't stupid. They see right through this charade. Just look at the state of Blake's latest product, Blake Brown Mist. This was supposed to be her next big brand moment, her empire-expanding product, the thing that keeps her image afloat while the lawsuits pile up. Instead, it's already on clearance shelves in New York, gathering dust like every other failed celebrity cash grab. That's not brand domination, that's a PR funeral. But we're not done exposing the mess yet, because Leslee Sloan, Blake's fixer and behind-the-scenes puppet master, is still busy playing legal games and making everything worse. This woman actually has the audacity to demand that Wayfair cover her legal fees, acting like she's been fully vindicated. You have to admire the delusion at this point. The reality? James Vushka's texts and whistleblower status say otherwise. Sloan can deny bad-mouthing Baldoni all day, but her own communications with Vushka suggest otherwise. this wasn't just some harmless PR misstep. It was a coordinated smear campaign, and the receipts are stacking up fast. The legal filings reveal Sloan pulled every dirty trick in the book to keep Vushka quiet. Job threats, manipulation, pressure campaigns, the tactics you'd expect from a political scandal, not a Hollywood PR meltdown. But that's exactly what this is turning into, and if Sloan's role is fully exposed, Blake's entire lawsuit crumbles right along with it. The orchestrated media manipulation becomes impossible to deny, and no amount of time covers or Instagram stories can save them. Even the courts are catching on to the nonsense. The judge's refusal to fast-track Blake's demands shows they're seeing through the facade. No one's buying the act anymore. Sloan and Blake can spin all they want, but the legal system isn't playing their game. And it's only a matter of time before the house of cards comes crashing down completely. Which brings us to the grand finale of this train wreck. Blake Lively's empire cracking wide open as the truth finally starts to surface. Judge Lyman has already signaled skepticism toward Blake's wild conspiracy claims. He's seriously considering dismissing parts of her case for lack of jurisdiction, and you just know Blake's team is scrambling behind the scenes, trying to salvage what little credibility she has left. One of the biggest blows? The potential dismissal of key defendant Jed Wallace. This guy was supposed to be the mastermind behind the so-called digital smear operation, the person Blake's entire narrative hinged on. But if he gets tossed from the case, Blake's legal foundation is obliterated. The whole story she's been spinning falls apart faster than Blake Brown missed sales. Let's not forget, the list of disasters is stacking up. Missing metadata? Check. Sham lawsuits filed and conveniently dropped? Check. Botched depositions? Double check. Whistleblowers flipping? Check. It's like watching a slow-motion car crash, and Blake's the one behind the wheel, flooring the gas pedal while pretending she knows what she's doing. The public backlash is only growing. Blake Brown missed flopping was just the beginning. The hypocrisy of the time cover, the staged interviews, the desperate damage control, it's all falling apart. The polished, relatable image Blake and Ryan have clung to for years is officially shattered. And let's be honest, the deeper this disaster unfolds, the clearer it becomes. Blake's meltdown isn't just happening in court. It's playing out across Hollywood, in the media, in the collapsing brand deals, in the fading public support. The narrative she tried so hard to control is slipping through her fingers, and no PR stunt, no shell company, no celebrity endorsement is going to glue it back together. This isn't just a legal mess, it's a full-blown implosion of the Lively Reynolds empire. One botched deposition, exposed email, and flopped product at a time. Watching them scramble to patch the leaks while the truth keeps pouring out, it's the most entertaining disaster Hollywood's given us in years. What's even worse for Blake is how her public image is sinking beyond just courtrooms and legal filings. Brands are starting to distance themselves, fans are questioning everything, and even Hollywood insiders are quietly admitting Blake's polished, relatable reputation is cracking under pressure. The backlash isn't just from internet trolls, it's from people who once admired her, now realizing the flawless persona was all smoke and mirrors. Behind every cute red carpet photo and staged interview was a carefully controlled narrative, and now that control is slipping fast. The second your legal drama becomes bigger than your career, you've got a problem. Ryan's PR tactics aren't saving her either. If anything, they're fueling the skepticism. Every interview, every staged appearance, every carefully timed product launch feels more forced as this legal disaster unravels. People aren't stupid. They can see the cracks, the contradictions, the desperate spin. And with whistleblowers coming forward, judges questioning the case, and key defendants potentially getting dismissed, Blake's once untouchable reputation is collapsing faster than anyone expected. It's not just a legal meltdown, it's a full Hollywood image crisis, and no PR team in the world can clean up this level of mess. Blake's Hollywood empire is sinking fast, and trust me, we're just getting started. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next brutal twist in this disaster.